sugar plums, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you 3 DIY in one. I'm gonna teach you how to make 3 coasters using epoxy resin, real coffee beans, and real lemon slice. Yep, that's right. Thank you so much for stopping by, guys, and if you're new here, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the bell icon to be notified on all my new uploads, and if you like this video, don't forget to like it. If you're ready, let's just go ahead and jump into that tutorial. Now guys, the first thing that you're gonna need to be doing is make sure you have all your stuff ready to start. Now, the first thing that I'm gonna go ahead and do is mix my epoxy. Now, the one that I'm using is a 1-to-1 ratio. Now, also those mold I got from Amazon. So guys, I'll be leaving the link below. So if you wanna go and purchase them as well. Now, we're gonna go ahead and use a real coffee beans, and then we're gonna mix some epoxy in it. Make sure that you use enough epoxy so every single one of the bean is perfectly coated. Then after that, guys, we're gonna go ahead and add some epoxy into a mold. Then I'm gonna go ahead and use my heat gun to remove as much bubbles as I can. But for this particular coaster, I wanted to have some bubble left in it. Now after that, we're gonna go ahead and add our coffee into the mold, and then we're gonna set it aside, and then we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing for our second mold that I'm gonna be using coffee as well for it. Okay guys, now I'm gonna go ahead and personalize the square coaster because I'm making it for my husband. So I went and write down his nickname into like a regular piece of paper, and then I'm gonna cut it because, you know, making it as simple as possible. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of epoxy in the middle where I want the name to be, and then on top of it I'm gonna add a little bit of epoxy just to seal the whole thing. Now because we have a lot of bubble there and I don't want to use my heat gun to move the paper, I'm gonna go ahead and use a regular match, and then we're gonna pop the bubble with that. Now for the round coaster, we're gonna go ahead and remove it from the mold because it was completely cured. I'm gonna go ahead and add some more epoxy in the mold, and then I'm gonna flip it upside down so that way I have both side of the coaster completely smooth out. So I'm gonna go ahead, pop the bubbles in there, and then flip it upside down, put the part that was on top at the bottom, and then let it cure, you know, again for another 12 hours. Okay guys, now after it's cured, we're gonna go ahead and remove it, and then I'm gonna go ahead and over the whole thing with a 120 grit sandpaper, and I'm gonna sand the whole coaster. And then after that, I'm gonna use a tiny little bit of clear epoxy again with a small brush. I'm gonna go ahead and use that clear epoxy all for the coaster to give it a shine back to it. So that's what I'm doing right now, guys. After I'm doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and set it aside and let it cure, and then we're gonna be working on the other coasters. Okay, now this coaster is completely dry, cured. We're gonna go ahead and do the same thing, but because for this coaster, guys, I want to have some air pocket in it. Basically, I want the air bubble to pop, creating like small little holes, and I want that to be all over the top part of the coaster because I was planning to put like droplets of colored epoxy into it, but I had changed my mind after that. But anyway, this was I'm gonna go ahead and do. I put it, and then I tap it a little bit to create some air bubble at the bottom part, and hopefully I was hoping for the air bubble to pop. So after that, I'm gonna go ahead and add some more epoxy on top of it, and then, you know, making sure that everything is sealed and completely smooth out. I'm gonna go ahead and use my heat gun again to pop any bubble that was in it, and then after that we're gonna set it aside, and then we're gonna start working on our third coaster, which is the lemon slice epoxy coaster. Okay, now you can see I have like real slice of lemon and I cut them in, tiny little slice. And then also have like some other like small flowers. And also I have like a mica powder. It's a bright pink powder I'm gonna be using as well. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put my epoxy into my mold, and then I'm gonna remove the bubbles, making sure I remove some bubbles and leave bubbles in it because I was trying to make it look like either like a lemonade, drink, or hard candy lemonade. So that's what I'm gonna be doing with this coaster. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add my sliced lemons, and then I'm gonna go ahead and pop the little flowers in between the lemons and making sure the petal are stuck into the epoxy. And then after that, guys, we're gonna go ahead and add more epoxy on top of it, and then we're gonna go ahead and pop as much bubbles as I can. And then I'm gonna go ahead and focus my heat gun into the lemon, making sure the lemon become like almost like whitish. I should say like almost like it will look like almost like you have like sugar stuck on top of it. And then after that, I'm gonna use a tiniest bit of pink epoxy, and then I'm gonna use it and make like some swell, into my coaster. And then I'm gonna go ahead and use my heat gun to move the pink one, and then I'll be back to show you the next step for this coaster. Okay, guys, now my epoxy, my coaster is completely cured. I'm gonna go ahead and flip it upside down, and so I can create my right or bottom side of it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add some epoxy into my mold again. I'm gonna remove some bubble in it, and then, guys, I wanted to create some very big air pocket. Basically, I wanted like part of the top part to doesn't have any epoxy in it, and you'll see what I mean. Now, that's when I put the coaster, into my mold, and then I just push one side of the coaster in. That way, it will create like a pocket of air. So that pocket of air will not have any epoxy stuck in it. I'm not sure how to explain it to you, but guys, you'll see what I mean. Now, after we use our heat gun on it, we're gonna go ahead and let it sit again on, until the whole thing is completely clear. Now you see me using some matches again because there were some bubble that was showing, and I didn't want to use my heat gun too much, so I use some matches. And it's a good tip, guys, if you don't have like a heat gun, or if you don't want to move your epoxy too much, you can use either lighter or matches if you have that. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and let our coasters completely cure, and then the next morning, I believe, yeah, that was the next morning, I went and removed them from the mold. I'm gonna be showing you what they look like, and then we're gonna be moving to the next step after that. Now, as you can see, my clear brown one is completely cured, and this is what it looked like. And then for the square coaster that I customized with my husband's name, you can see the little pocket of air bubble that popped and then left a little hold in it, but it didn't have enough hold for me to put my little, you know, color in it, and my husband liked it that way, so I went and left it that way. Now for the my lemonade coaster, when I flip it over, you can see the giant beautiful almost like a laser cut is showing the pocket air pocket that was left in it, and I was so happy with that because this part you can flip it in, you know, either side, and each one of the side look different. Now we're gonna go ahead and make the bottom part for this coaster. Now I'm using a foam sponge. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it in the round shape that the coaster is in, and then I'm gonna use some heavy duty glue to glue the coaster on top of it. Now after that, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and sand again the side of it to make sure that I flush the epoxy coaster with the foam itself. Then after that, we're gonna go ahead and go over it with some clear epoxy to seal everything, you know, up completely, making sure the foam is not gonna come out anytime soon. And then we're gonna go ahead and move on to the other coaster, guys. We're gonna do the same thing using a wet 120 grit sandpaper. We're gonna sand out the whole four sides of them, leaving the top part and the bottom part untouched, and then we're gonna go over them with clear epoxy a little bit later to make sure that we seal out everything. Okay, now to for my personalized coffee coaster, I'm gonna go ahead and use some yellow pearl to create some leg for it, because I wanted all three epoxy coasters to look completely different from each other. Now for the round one, we created the bottom part using some foam sponge. For the coffee epoxy that have my husband name on it, I'm gonna go ahead and create some leg on it. That's what you see me doing right now. Basically, you use a little bit of glue, hot glue, and then take the pearl or whatever you want to use to create the leg, you know, put it in it, and then it will be stuck to it. Now this lemonade epoxy coaster, I'm gonna use it as is because I want to be able to flip it, you know, it's to whatever side and be able to use it. That's why we make each side completely different. Now guys, you're gonna see me right here using clear epoxy again to seal the side. Now for this coaster, I make sure that I put the epoxy as well a little bit on top of the red sponge to make sure it's completely sealed. Now we're gonna be doing the same thing for this coaster as well. We're gonna put the epoxy on the side, and I'm gonna run a little bit of epoxy on the top as well because I was touching the top too much, and because it was getting a little bit cloudy, so I went and put some clear epoxy on top of it, making sure I remove any epoxy that was you know, that dripped into the hole, because I wanted those holes to stay like this. That was part of the charm of this coaster that I wanted to make. I'm gonna be doing the same thing for the lemonade coaster as well, and then I'm gonna make sure that, you know, the part that had like those big cut in it, I make sure that I put epoxy inside them, brush the epoxy inside them, I should say, so that way they will be shiny but completely empty. So after we finish doing that, guys, we're gonna let everything seal out and dry out and cure out completely, and then we'll come back to show you the finished result. Okay guys, now this is the finished result, and I was so happy with the coasters that I made because they are so unique, they are beautiful, they are different, and you can see each one of them look completely different. And guys, you can make anything, you know, with epoxy, and then it will be so much so very beautiful. Um, this coaster, my husband loved it so much, and he loved the little pocket hole that was in it. And the lemonade coaster, of course, those big cut that look like it's almost like laser cuts. It's like so beautiful, and I'm so happy that I can flip, whatever side that I want, and it will look completely different. And of course, a very pretty, clear, round coaster with the red bottom. It's very unique in its own way. Again, all the coasters come out, guys, looking unique and different, and that's exactly what I wanted to accomplish. Thank you again, guys, for stopping by. And if you like this video, guys, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the bell icon again so you can be notified on all my new upload, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all the love and support that you guys showing me. I'm gonna go ahead and let you enjoy the rest of the video, and of course I have attached picture at the end to show you the end result and how the whole thing look. Okay guys, thank you so very much. I love you guys, and as always, be blessed and stay blessed. Bye.